Juniper by Monica Furlong, Chapter 7. Although I had decided so firmly to tell Uni, I found it difficult to get around to telling her about it, perhaps because I was a little afraid of her. Maybe, too, I thought that some marvelous thing might still happen, that would make it worthwhile to live there. On the second morning, when I woke up cold and stiff, Uni decided promptly that my ankle was better, though it felt far from better to me, and sent me out before breakfast to collect 2 buckets of water from her well, to gather sticks and relight the fire, and to wash my face in the cold water and comb my hair. All this before our very meager breakfast of porridge. "Please, what am I going to give Moon?" I asked her anxiously. At the wooden palace, I had always begged the contents of the mouse-traps from the cook, or she had given me other scraps left over from our meals. "There are plenty of field mice around here. Let him go and hunt for himself," said Uni. I looked up anxiously at Moon. Suppose he starved because it did not occur to him to seek his own food. Actually, I was still fairly hungry myself, though trying hard not to notice it. I thought that we would now settle down to lessons, as I would have done at home, only in something much more interesting, like spells, but it didn't turn out that way. After a brisk tidying up of the hut, that is, I tidied while Uni looked on and made sarcastic comments, we went out for an interminable walk in which Uni sought roots for some medicine she wanted to make. It was a chill, windy day, and we marched for hours over meadows and through woods. Every now and then, for no reason that I could see, Uni would point to a plant that looked like all of the others and order me to dig it up. Some of them had deep, tough roots, which she insisted I must dig up intact. I had no tool apart from a stick and my fingers, so in no time my pretty nails were full of earth, and my hands and smock were filthy. The only time she spoke was to give me long explanations of what the roots were and what they might be used for, which I promptly forgot. In contrast to Uni, who walked lightly and quickly, looking about her as if everything were interesting and must be noticed, I shuffled along, sullen and miserable, until I began to take refuge in comforting daydreams. "How many birds?" Uni asked suddenly. "How do you mean?" "There was a row of birds sitting on a branch. How many?" Of course I had no idea. I had not even seen the birds. This unpleasant trick, I was soon to discover, was a favorite one of Uni's. She was given to precise, detailed questions. What color was the roof? What color exactly had the sky been? What direction was the wind blowing from? What animals had I noticed? Where were they? What flowers had I seen? She would ask, but I never knew the answers. It made me feel very silly. What I was thinking about was not the number of birds, nor the direction of the wind, but the bliss of returning to the comforts of Castle Door. I reflected that, as the winter came on, life, which was already hard at Uni's, would become intolerable, with the cold, hard floor feeling even colder at night, and the hunger becoming even more painful. It would be lonely, too. I had been with Uni only a day and a half, and already I was missing Aerith and my parents and other children to talk to. It was at this point I remembered that, after all, it was Uni who had asked me to come, and I thought that perhaps, as I was her godchild, she held some affection for me that she found difficult to show. "Did you, want me to come?" I asked her timidly, in the middle of a dark forest. I hoped for some sort of declaration from her that she loved me and was pleased that I was coming to live with her. "It's all one to me," she said disappointingly. But there was something even more fundamental that I needed to know, only I scarcely knew how to ask the question. "I know what you said yesterday, but I still don't see how what I am here for," I got out at last. Uni gave a heavy sigh as if this were an unreasonable bit of curiosity on my part. "Earth, air, fire, water," she said, and stopped. "Like my rhyme," I said with interest, remembering my neck charm. "Well, there you are." I didn't seem to be anywhere. "There are things I can do," I said. "I can find water hidden underground. I can heal people sometimes. I can see into the future, and once I thought I heard Moon speak." "Don't boast," she said sharply. "But what does it mean?" "It means that you must do exactly what I tell you." To make it all worse, it began to rain during the afternoon, but in spite of that, we did not make for home. Cold and wet, with the rain plastering my hair to my head, carrying the full basket of roots, hungry because we had not eaten since that meager plate of porridge at breakfast, I stumbled along behind Uni, now with my mind fully made up. Tomorrow I would get up early while Uni was still asleep, grab my things, and set off for home. I might even leave my things behind, I reflected, in case collecting them would wake Uni. After all, there were plenty more clothes at home. I pictured Aerith's rapturous welcome and all the sympathy I would get as I told my story, though I also felt a spasm of shame that I did not quite understand. I was very tired now, and the long day's walk had caused my ankle to swell again. It was dark by the time we got to our own forest, but Uni entered it without hesitation and kept up a steady pace that, exhausted as I was, I found hard to match. I could think of nothing but sleep. My former raging appetite had died down now. When we came out of the forest, there was a moon that showed the stepping stones across the stream as bright as day. It swam, huge and golden, over the shoulder of the tor and outlined the roof of Uni's hut. This was magical enough, a scene so beautiful that in spite of my exhaustion, I felt transfixed by it. But there was something more. Standing between the tor and the hut, its branches silvered by the moonlight, quivering a little in the night breeze, stood the hazel tree I remembered from my dreams. My tiredness and hunger forgotten, I stood still and stared at the tree, stammering with excitement. "The hazel tree! The tree in the dream! It's here!" To which Uni, to whom I had said nothing about my dream, replied, "Well, of course, it's been here all along. You could have noticed it by daylight if you weren't so absent-minded. You'll have to do better than that." And she went on into the hut. As I stood, still transfixed by my discovery, I heard the brush of wings overhead and looked up to see Moon, white and ghost-like, flying above me, seeking his food just as Uni had recommended. "Moon," I called to him softly, "I have found the hazel tree," at which he circled around me twice in acknowledgement before continuing on his hunting trail.